Shannon Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of play when it comes to your artwork. I touched on this a little bit in my Give Yourself a Break video, but I think that it is an important topic to talk about from time to time. But first I wanted to tell you a little bit about this piece. I am just using one color, and I am just practicing my values in my sketchbook. I am working from imagination. I have some things masked off. I use the Molotow masking pen. I think that's what it's called. I'll link it in the description. And I'm just using my M-Gram watercolors. So I didn't want to get too far into this exercise because there's plenty of videos on using one color and how it helps with your values. It's a time-honored kind of exercise to practice your values, but I will say that watercolor is really a great way because you can just add water to get a full range of values. You don't need anything really besides, just your one color. So I used a very dark color. I'm using Phthalo Blue. It's one of the darkest watercolors I have. So that way there I can get more of a full range because I can get my darkest darks and go, as light as I'd like to. So that's what I'm doing here. And this, like I said, is just out of my imagination. And I know it's spooky and it's kind of early. It's only early September, but I am that girl who loves spooky stuff and I am ready for fall, so bring it. Anywho, so on to the topic of play. One reason why I am doing this is because I'm in the midst of doing a really detailed Inktense piece, which will be on my channel within the next couple of weeks. It is quite detailed, and so therefore it is taking a lot of time. And so I wanted to kind of just do something fun in between to get my mind off that work. Even though I'm really enjoying that work, I just thought, you know what, it would be nice to do something imaginative. I haven't been really feeling that great lately. No, it's not the dreaded Rona, the name that we shall not actually speak. I've been feeling kind of sluggish lately, so I haven't been up in the studio as much as I would like to be. And this was just a fun exercise that I could do while watching YouTube videos and just sit there and do it from my imagination and relax on my couch. And I think it's important to do that every once in a while. Not every piece you need to do needs to be a finished piece. And this is something that I need to remind myself of because I am one of the notorious people that have a million sketchbooks that aren't finished because most of my work is finished work. I like realism and I enjoy doing realism. But from time to time, I kind of have to remind myself, hey, let's use the imagination and let's just relax and play. And I was kind of giving myself that talk this morning, and that's why I wanted to do this video and turn this into that kind of video, just to let you all know the same thing, because I know that a lot of the cause for things like artist block and not getting things done, a lot of it can be the intimidation of creating a great piece. And I know a lot of us artists are guilty of that. We'll have a fun idea and we'll want to do it, but we'll be intimidated, and so we don't dare to, so we just don't start, or we have too many ideas and we get overwhelmed, or maybe we don't feel like we can accomplish the idea that we have, or sometimes we don't have any ideas at all, and that's even worse, and we just sit there and feel like we're worthless as artists and we can't do anything. So this is where play comes in. This is where I think it's important. And a lot of people give the advice when you have artist block, just sit down and work. Well, it doesn't have to be work. You don't have to sit down and create a finished piece. Sit down and just grab a material and start playing with it. Even if it's just a doodle, even if it's, just something funny, or even if you're just writing down funny sayings, it doesn't really matter. Just let yourself play. Let yourself see where it goes. And that's kind of what I was doing with this. I knew I wanted to kind of practice my values a little bit, but I also didn't give myself the pressure of doing some straight up photorealistic, beautiful, finished piece that I plan on selling. I grabbed my watercolor sketchbook, I grabbed one tube of paint and a masking pen, and then just as I was getting my materials ready, I kind of got the idea that it would be fun to put ghosts in it. And so it wasn't really this big planned out thing. I just knew I wanted to sit down and play. And my go-to thing kind of is trees, because I love trees and it's really easy to show distance with trees. And I thought, well, if I'm going to be using just one color, I need to be able to vary my values. So I chose trees, but it wasn't I was like, these trees have to be perfect trees, and I'm going to lay it out like this. It was just, let's just sit down with a general idea and play. And I feel so much better now because I have been a little bit sluggish lately, and even though I'm really inspired by my really detailed Inktense piece that I'm working on, I haven't been getting to it as much as I should. And so this little relieving, imperfect piece was just the creativity that I needed. It's playful, it's fun, it's a little spooky, which to me is playful and fun because I'm creepy like that. And it kind of just was relaxing. I know it's not perfect. I probably won't even sell prints of it. And, you know, nobody would have had to see this if I didn't decide, hey, let's talk to some other artists about this and let them know that, you know, it's important to play. Like, otherwise, you probably wouldn't have seen this. This just would have been done in my sketchbook, and nobody would have had to be the wiser. But I know times are difficult right now, and again, I'm just rambling, I know, but I know I talked about this in my Give Yourself a Break video, but I do think it's important that we remember that not every piece we do has to be perfect. It's fun to play with new materials. I mean, that's why I'm Caution Artist at Play. A lot of people ask me about that because a lot of my artwork seems kind of serious because it's realism, and so most people look at realism as some type of serious art. I mean, I think all art has a playful side and a serious side. It doesn't matter what kind of style you're doing. It may look more playful, but it doesn't mean that the artist wasn't serious about their work. So I think it can be both. It's never one or the other to me, but you know, just coming from that standpoint, like, my artwork a lot of times takes a lot of time because it's realism and there's a lot of details. And so I wanted to do something that was looser, less detailed, less realistic, and just a bit on the fun side. And I think that that is very important to do from time to time. Allow yourself to doodle. Allow yourself to do the things that made you enjoy art to begin with. Allow yourself to play with materials. Even grab crayons and color in a coloring book. It doesn't really matter as long as you're being creative and you're just letting yourself be creative without constraints. Like this piece for me did kind of have a little bit of a constraint in the fact that I was working on my values, but I really was not being too hard on myself about the values either. I knew that I wanted the lighter stuff in the back and the darker stuff closer to the viewer, and that's basically the easiest way to do atmospheric perspective. So I was already using the skills I already knew and then maybe strengthening them in the process of playing. But I wasn't concerned like, oh, this tree isn't dark enough. Like, I just went with it and just let my instincts flow and let my own, you know, my skills that I already had flow and not worry about it. I wasn't concerned about learning something new, but if I learned something new in the process, obviously that is, you know, just an added bonus, which I do believe that everything you make teaches you something. So that's a plus side to play as well. Just sit there and play around. Like, let's not take everything so seriously, you know, and it's just a reminder I have to tell myself from time to time, and I didn't know if some of you might need to hear that right now as well. If you're struggling with your art, or if you're just struggling to do something creative, or with artist block, just breathe and give yourself the chance to play and have fun. Even if you don't show anybody else, like even if you're finger painting, nobody needs to know about it. I mean, if you want to show other people, you can, but nobody needs to know. Just play around and you will see like how relieving it is. It gets your mind off of a bunch of worries. Like for a time, you may not be worried about the seriousness of life. And that's why play is so important in art. And there's a lot of artists that all their work is play for them. And that is great. Like I said, to me, even my realism has a form of play because I thoroughly enjoy doing realism as well. And I am creative even when I'm doing realism. But just doing it with no pressure and no constraints. We as artists tend to put these constraints on ourselves, even if we're able to block out what other people are saying. We all have our own standards that we try to live up to, and sometimes it's just nice to let those standards go. So I'm sorry if this was one big ramble. I also want to apologize that I wasn't able to put out a video last week. It's been kind of busy for me lately. I've got a few things going on. I was setting up my senior thesis show and working on that Inktense piece, which is going to take a little while. Here's the finished piece and my dirty hands from playing around. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you allow yourself to play. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. Also, if you're interested in seeing more of my artwork, I'm on social media, so check out the links in the description below.